Yo, it's time to subscribe to Paid to Be Famous. What are you doing?
Subscribe to Paid to Be Famous.
Subscribe to Paid to Be Famous. Like the video. Come on.
Hell
you know
yeah.
the drill.
Button.
And slap that like button.
In today's Destiny 2 build guide, I'm going to be going over the only build you will ever need to take on any activity in Destiny 2. Even the highest level endgame activities don't stand a chance against this build. If you're anything like me, every single week when there's a new Grandmaster available, you spend anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes just sitting in orbit, waiting for your other two fire team members to decide which subclass they're going to use, which build they should use, what exotic, what weapons they're going to need to bring in there. Personally, I never have that problem. I have been running this same build for every Grandmaster that's come out so far this season, and it's going to work for every single Grandmaster that has yet to come out. And the reason for that is because it has one of the best supers in the game for good boss damage and the ultimate survivability. You got ultimate healing, and we'll be able to stun all three champions, no problem. So Guardians, sit back, relax, and let's break it all down in today's Destiny 2 build guide. But before we get into this, if you guys want a hot goth mommy to crush you with her thick thighs, make sure you leave a like on this video, and I'll send the hot goth mommies your way. So today's build is all about the prismatic warlock, because who doesn't like a super cool space wizard? Now getting into the exotics that we're using, we'll start off with my weapon. I'm taking in the Polaris Lance. Comes with the exotic perk, the perfect fifth, precision hits return ammo to the mag. Landing 4 precision hits, load a delayed solar explosive round that scorches targets for your next shot. The reason I'm using this is because this season we have anti-barrier scout rifle, and like I just stated in that description, this will actually scorch targets. And if you scorch enough, it'll ignite a target, and solar ignitions actually stun unstoppable champions. So just with this one exotic weapon alone, we can already take care of 2 out of the 3 champions that we're going to come up against in these Grandmaster Nightfalls. And the second exotic that we're using is the Getaway Artist exotic gauntlets for the Warlock. Has the exotic perk Dynamic Duo, convert your arc grenade into an arc soul and become amplified, and the arc soul functions as an autonomous turret. Now the reason I'm using this exotic is because specifically this week's Grandmaster is the heist battleground, the Moon, and we have Arc Hunger, which basically means if you're not dealing arc damage, your ability regeneration is reduced and you take increased damage. So having our little arc buddy dish out arc damage at all times help keeps that debuff off of us. But we're not always going to have arc starvation. So if I don't need to wear these gauntlets, I'm usually rocking my exotic class item that has Spirit of Apotheosis and Spirit of Star Eater. So the more orbs of power I collect, the more damage I'll do with my super. And once my super ends, I'll get melee and grenade regeneration after I pop my super. Now looking at the subclass, we are on the Prismatic Warlock, and of course we are taking the Song of Flame. When we pop this, it's going to make our equipped weapons radiant, and radiant is also going to help us deal with barrier champions. And while Song of Flame is active, you and nearby allies regenerate abilities more quickly, and you're more resistant to incoming damage. And it is a lot of damage resist. You can basically tank anything in a Grandmaster as long as you're in your super, which is really nice. For our class ability, we're taking the Phoenix Dive. I like it because it has the lowest base cooldown, but Healing Rift is also good if you want to use that. Then for our melee, we got Arcane Needle. It's going to allow us to unravel enemies, which counts as an elemental debuff, and we can unwind them into a tangle that we can pick up and throw or shoot. Plus the upside is you get 3 melee charges, so that's really nice too. Then since I was using the Getaway Artist, you have to use an arc grenade to use those gauntlets. But like I said, if you're going to use a class item, you can use something like the Healing Grenade for more survivability, or the Vortex Grenade is also really good in PvE. Then for our first aspect, we have the Hellion. It's going to summon a solar mortar that lobs flaming projectiles at distant targets, and it's going to scorch targets. Once again, we get enough scorch attacks on a target, we are going to ignite them, so this is another way to stun unstoppable champions. And then as always, In any warlock build, we got Feed the Void, where when we defeat a target with an ability, we'll get Devour. While we have Devour and get a kill, it's going to restore our health instantly, and we're going to get more grenade energy, which is going to allow us to activate our arc turret even more. Then for the fragments, we got Facet of Protection. When we're surrounded, we get more damage resist. We have Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Orb of Power grants either Amplified Restoration Frost Armor or Woven Mail or Overshield. Since we're on the Solar subclass, we're going to get Restoration. Restoration states that you regenerate health and shields over time, cannot be interrupted while taking damage. Once again, this is going to help keep us alive. We also have Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. So elemental buffs are Amplified, Cure, Radiant, Restoration, Devour, Overshield, Invisibility. We're going to be able to get Amplified from our exotic gauntlets, Radiant from our super and other fragments. We're going to have Restoration from picking up orbs. So essentially what I'm saying here is we're going to have our class ability up at all times. Then we have Facet of Dawn. Powered melee hits against targets make you Radiant. And when we have that Radiant buff, that's like a 25% increase to our weapon damage. And also, once again, while you're Radiant, your weapons pierce through the anti-barrier shields. Then we also have Facet of Ruin. Increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal, and it increases the area of effect of solar ignitions. So we're going to be getting a lot of ignitions off with our super, with our Hellion, with the Polaris Lance, so Facet of Ruin is very nice. And very quickly looking at the rest of the weapons that I'm using the Lost Signal Grenade Launcher that came from Episode Echoes. It is craftable. I've got Autoloading Holster and Demolitionist on it. And I'm also using the Bittersweet with the infamous Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch combo. And on the artifact, grenade launchers are actually stunning overload champions, hence why I'm using grenade launchers. Now getting into the armor mods, on the helmet, Heavy Ammo Finder, Harmonic Siphon to create orbs from the Polaris Lance. On the gloves, 2 impact inductions because we have a lot of melees to throw out, and that will reduce our grenade cooldown. We also have a solar loader for the Polaris Lance. On the chest, use whatever elemental resistance you need because the elemental burns do change week to week in the Grandmasters. On the leg armor, we have Recuperation, which will replenish our health when we pick up an orb. And on the legs, I have 2 Innervation mods. And on the legs, I also have 2 Invigoration mods that will reduce our melee cooldown when we pick up an Orb of Power. On the class item, we've got a Reaper mod. After we pop our class ability, next weapon final blow, we'll get an orb. And we have 2 outreach mods, reduces our melee cooldown when using your class ability. And the only artifact mods that you really need is like Overload Grenade Launcher and Concussive Reload. This will help weaken targets for you when you hit them with your grenade launcher. And those are really only the necessary ones. This is the best build in the game in any situation. So even after these artifact mods are gone, this same exact build will still be viable. The only thing you'll really need to change up in future seasons are the weapons that are using, because the champion mods change every season. So next season Overload could be something else like auto rifle or something like that. So you'll just have to change up the weapons that you use. Other than that, the subclass, all the armor mods, you'll be able to keep the same and you'll be able to slay out nonetheless. But you guys, that is going to do it for the build guide. I'm going to put a dim link in the description so you can just slap this on and try it out for yourself. If you guys are new here, need more Destiny 2 in your life, don't forget to subscribe to that channel, leave a like on the video, follow me over on Twitch and TikTok for the live streams, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.